From July 1st, 2026, award wages are increasing again. And I want to show you why this is not just a payroll issue. It's a productivity issue. It's a pricing issue. It's a profitability issue. And more than anything, it's a team training issue. Because on paper, you might look at the diploma-qualified beauty therapist and think, okay, the Monday to Friday award rate is now around $32 an hour. But that is not what that therapist actually costs your business, not even close. When you factor in Saturday loading, annual leave loading, personal leave, public holidays and superannuation, the real cost is much higher. And once you understand the real cost, you can no longer accept vague targets. Hope the book fills, hope therapists rebook, hope they retail, and hope the numbers work. Hope is not a financial strategy. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what it really costs you to employ a diploma-qualified beauty therapist from July 1st, 2026, what they need to produce for their employment to make commercial sense, and why the thing you need to focus on is not just paying them correctly, but training them appropriately. Because the businesses that will absorb this wage increase best are not the ones with the cheapest staff. They're the ones with the most productive therapists. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Bridget Benj, business coach to skin clinic and beauty salon owners and creator of the High Performance Therapist Academy. Today I want to walk you through something that every clinic and salon owner needs to understand before July 1st, because the Fair Work Commission has handed down its 2026 annual wage review decision, and award wages are increasing by 4.75%. That's significant, but the wage increase itself is not the biggest problem. The bigger problem is that many owners still don't know what a therapist actually costs them across a full year. They know the hourly rate, they know what's on the weekly payroll, but they don't know the true annual cost. And if you don't know the true cost, you can't set the right productivity target. And if you can't set the right productivity target, you can't know whether that therapist is helping your business grow or quietly eating into your profit every single week. What you're looking at here is my wage and productivity calculator. I built this because I've seen far too many skin clinic and beauty salon owners make decisions based on the payroll number they see each week, instead of the actual cost of employing that person across a full year. This calculator includes the things that often get forgotten when owners think about wages. It includes the base hourly rate, the Saturday loading, the annual leave loading, the personal leave, the public holidays, and it includes superannuation. Because all of those things are part of the true cost of employment. They're not extras. They're the costs that don't appear on the weekly payroll, but are definitely included. They're part of what it costs to have that therapist on your team. So now let's look at the numbers. Up until June 30th, 2026, the Monday to Friday award rate for diploma-qualified beauty therapist was $30.55 an hour. The loaded Saturday rate was $40.63. Based on a full-time therapist working 30.5 hours Monday to Friday and 7.5 hours on a Saturday, the total annual wage cost was around $72,213. From July 1st, 2026, once the 4.75 increase is applied, the Monday to Friday rate moves to around $32 an hour. The Saturday rate moves to $42.56, and the total annual wage cost moves to $75,640. Now, for context, back in 2020, only 6 years ago, that same therapist cost you around $56,990 a year. So if you compare 2020 to 2026, that's an increase of more than $18,000 per year per full-time therapist. And that is if you're paying award. If you pay above award, which many clinics and salons do, your number will be even higher. Now, I'm not telling you this to make you panic. I'm telling you this because these are the numbers you need to lead from. You can't keep absorbing wage increases without also increasing expected productivity. Something has to shift. Your prices need to be right. Your appointment books need to be fuller. Your therapists need to be rebooking consistently. Retail needs to be prescribed properly. Treatment plans need to be sold, and clients need to be retained. Or the wage increase will come straight out of your pocket. Now, I want you to take a look at this line at the bottom of the calculator. Average hourly cost over working hours, $45.65. This is the true number that actually changes the conversation. Not $32 an hour, but $45.65 an hour. That is the real cost of this therapist when they are actually at work. And here's why. A therapist is paid 52 weeks across the year, but they don't work 52 weeks of the year. They're paid while they're on annual leave, they're paid while they're on personal leave, and they're paid for public holidays. Costs your business still has to cover, but a therapist can only generate revenue when they are physically at work, seeing clients, recommending products, rebooking, following up, and moving clients through a proper results-focused journey. So when we calculate what they need to produce, we can't divide the annual wage by 52 weeks. We have to divide it by the actual working weeks. And once you do that, the real hourly cost becomes $45.65 an hour. That means before you've paid rent, insurance, marketing, stock, equipment, electricity, merchant fees, your own wage, or made a profit, that therapist has already cost you $45.65 for every working hour. That's why targets matter. Not because you want to put pressure on your team, not because you want to turn your business into a numbers factory, but because you need to know what is commercially required for the business to survive, grow, and remain profitable. So now let's talk about what the therapist needs to produce. For most skin clinics and beauty salons, a therapist needs to generate at least 4 times their total annual wage cost. This is the baseline for minimally equipment-heavy businesses. So if this therapist costs $75,640.68 per year, we multiply that by 4. That's the productivity multiplier. That gives us an annual productivity requirement of $302,563. Then we break that down into the hours they actually work across the year, which brings us to $182.62 per hour, which I would round up to $185 an hour. So from July 1st, 2026, a full-time diploma-qualified therapist on the award in a minimally equipment-heavy clinic or salon needs to produce around $185 an hour. Not what feels reasonable, $185 an hour. And I know that number might feel uncomfortable, but discomfort doesn't make the number wrong. It just means the business needs to respond properly. Now here is where it becomes even more important for skin clinics. Not every business has the same cost structure. Some clinics and salons are minimally equipment heavy. Some clinics are moderately equipment heavy, and some are heavily equipment heavy. And the more your business relies on expensive equipment, the higher the productivity expectation needs to be. A minimally equipment-heavy business might use LED, skin needling, peels, facials, and hands-on treatments. The equipment investment is there, but it's not driving the majority of the menu. That business needs to be looking at a 4 times multiplier. So as we said, that gives you an annual target of $302,563 and an hourly target of around $185. A moderately equipment-heavy business is different. This is where the business has invested heavily in technology, and a significant portion of the menu relies on equipment such as laser, IPL, advanced skin devices, body contouring, or similar treatments. That business needs to be looking closer to a 5 times multiplier. At 5 times, the annual target becomes $378,203, and the hourly target becomes around $230 an hour. Then we have heavily equipment-heavy clinics. These are businesses where most of the treatment menu depends on high-cost equipment. The machines are central to the service delivery. They need to be paid off, serviced, maintained, replaced, and they often come with higher consumable costs and higher operational expenses. That business needs to be looking closer to a 6 times multiplier. At 6 times, the annual target becomes $453,844, and the hourly target becomes around $275 an hour. Now, before anyone panics, here's what's important. If your business is equipment heavy, your treatment prices will also be higher, and a therapist doesn't necessarily need to see more clients to reach a higher target. They need to see the right clients for the right treatments at the right frequency with the right home care and keep those clients coming back. That's the point. The answer is not to work your therapist to the ground. The answer is to train them to work through a proper client retention system. And this is where many owners get stuck. They see the target and think, how on earth is my team going to achieve that? But the real question is not how do I make my therapist sell more? The real question is, have I actually taught them how to create retained clients? Because a therapist doesn't become a high performer just because they're kind or nice. They don't become a high performer just because they're technically skilled. They don't become a high performer just because they have done product training or device training. Those things matter, of course, but they're not enough. A therapist can perform a beautiful treatment and still lose the client. They can be lovely, professional, and caring and still fail to rebook. They can know the product ingredients but still avoid recommending home care because they're afraid of feeling pushy. They can understand the treatment but still not explain the plan clearly enough for the client to commit. And that is where profit leak happens. Not in one dramatic moment, in tiny missteps repeated all day, every day. A missed rebooking, a vague recommendation, no treatment plan, no full home care prescription, no follow-up, no proper notes, no next step. And then the client disappears. The therapist might think they just didn't come back. But from a business perspective, that was a retained client that was never properly retained. And this is why I created the High Performance Therapist Academy. High Performance Therapist Academy is not just about teaching therapists to sell more. It's about teaching them the full client retention system behind high performance. Because when a therapist understands the system, everything changes. Retail is no longer an awkward product sale. It becomes part of the client's result. Rebooking is no longer about filling in the appointment book. It becomes part of maintaining treatment momentum. Treatment plans are no longer expensive suggestions. They become the pathway to the result the client came in for. Follow-up is no longer admin. It becomes the difference between a client who disappears and a client who feels supported enough to continue. That is what high performance really is. It's not a personality type. It's not natural confidence. It's not being born good at sales. High performance is a system. And when therapists learn that system, productivity increases because client retention increases. Inside the High Performance Therapist Academy, your team learns the business side of being a high-performing skin therapist. They learn why client retention is the goal. They learn why profit matters. They learn why targets exist. They learn how their everyday actions affect the client, the business, and their own earning potential. They learn how to consult properly, how to use the new client consultation form properly, how to create and present an effective skin prescription, how to recommend home care without feeling pushy, how to sell treatment programs instead of random one-off treatments, how to rebook in a way that makes sense to the client, how to follow up, how to service existing clients with direction, not just hope they keep coming back. And importantly, they learn why each step matters. Because when therapists only learn what to do, they often resist it, forget it, or do it inconsistently. But when they understand why it matters, the behavior starts to stick. That's the difference. Over the years, I have seen therapists go from producing $80 an hour to over $250 an hour, even in minimally equipment-heavy businesses. And that doesn't happen because they suddenly become pushy. It happens because they learn how to guide the clients properly. They learn to connect treatment, home care, rebooking, and follow-up to the result the client wants. And when clients understand the plan, they are far more likely to commit to the plan. That is what creates client retention. And client retention is what creates productivity. So when you look back at this calculator and see numbers like $185, $230, or $275 an hour, I don't want you to think my team could never do that. I want you to ask a better question. What would my team need to understand, learn, and consistently apply to make those numbers achievable? That is the question High Performance Therapist Academy answers. Now, the next intake of High Performance Therapist Academy starts on Monday, July 6th. It's designed for skin clinic and beauty salon owners who want their therapists to understand exactly what high performance looks like inside the treatment room, not just technically, but commercially. Your team will learn how to consult properly, prescribe home care with confidence, sell treatment plans, rebook consistently, follow up properly, and move clients through a results-focused client journey that creates better retention and stronger productivity. This is not just about giving your therapist more information. It's about giving them a system they can apply with clients. They start with pre-recorded lessons, a workbook, and practical tools. And then there are live implementation sessions with me so your team can be coached through how to apply what they're learning inside your clinic or salon. The July intake starts on Monday the 6th, and the early bird enrollment for a $200 saving is available until June 14th. I've put the full details, including what is included, how the program works, pricing, and enrollment information on the landing page linked in the description below. So, here's what I want you to take from this video. From July 1st, your wage costs are increasing. You can either absorb that increase and hope everything works out, or you can get serious about the level of productivity your team needs to achieve. Targets alone will not fix the problem. Your therapists need the training, the system, the language, the understanding, and the confidence to create retained clients. That is what High Performance Therapist Academy is built to do. Again, the link to enroll is in the description below. If your therapists are capable and technically trained, but you know there's still a gap between what they're doing now and what they could be producing, this program was created for that gap. Give your team the system behind high performance, and give your business the productivity it needs to protect its profit, retain more clients, and grow stronger from here. And one little request. If this video helped you, please like it, subscribe, and share it with another clinic or salon owner who needs to understand these numbers before July the 1st.